Loud. Hi and welcome.
Hi,
I
everybody.
I am Vicki Draper
I'm Ariel Hubbard. How are you?
and yes, and we are here for our monthly healing for pets and people. And today we have a climate change edition. And really looking forward to being here and sharing tips and ideas for you and your pets. And so before we get started, Ariel, share how they can get a hold of you.
I can be reached at arielhubbard.com. So if you see my name on the screen, it's that spelling with no space in between. And you can reach out to me about classes, sessions, long distance, or in person. And Vicki, how can people reach you?
Yes, the easiest way is go to healingyouranimal.com, and on there I offer a free assessment, and you can go to YouTube and see past Facebook Lives that we're doing here, and you can also subscribe to my newsletter. And you also see classes. So anyway, healingyouranimal.com is the place to go for me.
Perfect.
All right, so we're going to talk about climate change, and that is because sometimes when you're moving or you're traveling, you're going to different climates. So Ariel, why don't you start us off and let us know
Sure.
about the different climates?
You bet. So we're not talking about climate change as in what's going on with the planet in general. We're talking about climate zones that the planet currently has and what to do with health suggestions for you and your pets if you're moving to a different climate. So just wanted to give you some information. And I learned this from a naturopath. He and I wrote a nutrition course called Nutrition Cleansing. And we were talking about the different latitudes. So tropical latitudes are near the equator. So there's usually a pretty similar solar temperature. So the temperatures are relatively consistent at the equator. And there are some variations in weather for different seasons if you divide them into rainforest, monsoon, and savanna. But basically, the temperature is about the same. Mid latitudes, like the Tropic of Cancer to the Arctic Circle, and from the Tropic of Capricorn to the Antarctic Circle, solar heating is greater in summer than in winter. So they get stronger seasonal shifts. And then the polar latitudes, you definitely have much more significant temperature changes and extremes. It's very extreme. Summers are cool to mild, but winters are bitterly cold. So that means you need to eat differently in these different environments. And I'll come back to that in a minute. But the temperature change is an issue. So depending on where you're moving, if you're moving along the same latitude, it's not that great a shift. But if you're changing latitudes, it could be significant for you in terms of different lifestyle habits, food, and even body work that you might need. So Vicky, do you have any suggestions for people or stories about your pets and moving from one place to another?
Um, well, pets, their fur is going to shift. So their coat is going to shift depending on if you're moving to a colder climate or a warmer
Mhm.
climate. So, not to freak out if you're moving to a warmer climate and they're all of a sudden just shedding lots of fur, you know.
Good
Um,
point.
and then moving with animals, you want to tell them about the move. And so I help a lot of clients with communicating to their animals so the animals know what's happening and that causes less stress on everybody. And I had a client that had four dogs and they were moving across the country. And so talked with each one of the dogs, let them know what was happening, that they were all going, they were all part of the pack, they're all going on this long journey because across the country was a big, a
Mhm.
big move. And it was even more complicated because both the husband and the wife were traveling in between. So they were going to have to be boarded at these places that they'd never even seen or been to.
Mhm.
And what was cool about that is connected with the animals, connected with the place they were going to be boarding, and set the energies. And the when they while they were staying there, the place was giving a tour, and they looked at the four dogs, and they're like, "Oh, they're so comfortable here. They look like they're regulars." And they're like, "No, it's their first time," you
Wow.
know. So,
Mm.
so the prep work really made a difference. So then when they got to their new home in the new area, it was much easier getting settled in, and the dogs knew what they were getting into. So there again, just great to prepare pets for the adventures you're doing together.
That's important. Now it's interesting because for people, like I'm guessing if they moved across the country, they probably stayed in the moderate climate or the mid latitude. So most of the world's population lives in a mid latitude. And the recommendation in terms of like foods that come from that climate, fruits, vegetables, and nuts, things like that for people. You want to try to stay in the same climatic region for most of what you're eating, and then you can change a little bit. So, like if you live in a mid latitude, you can do 80% mid latitude food origin and 20% tropical. If you like you live in a polar region like Canada, Alaska, Scandinavia, Northern Asia, you really want to have like mostly polar foods, like 80%, 15% mid-tropical, and 5% tropical. And if you live in a tropical latitude where it's very, very, very like warm most of the year, you want to eat 80% tropical, 15% mid, and 5% polar. So for animals, I know that there are a lot of variations on pet food that have come up over the years, and a lot of it is much cleaner, it's more organic, things like that. And so I don't know if that would change as much if they're eating a lot of if they're eating a lot of meat, right? But for humans, like for instance, like if you get a lot of your tropical fruit, like say star fruit or dragon fruit or mangoes or things like that, and you live in a mid latitude, you might want to have those like about 20% of the time, like pineapple, even not all the time, right? You want to try to eat foods that match your climate. So if you're moving your climate zone, so if you're moving from one latitude to another, you're going to want to be aware that you want to change. Like if you're moving to Scandinavia, or you're moving to Alaska or Canada, you're going to want to eat more of the foods that are from those regions. Well, what foods are there? It's a lot of meat because it's cold. And you need to eat that kind of food to generate the energy that you need to deal with the cold climate. If you're vegetarian, you're going to have to be more creative on how you're going to do that. You got to figure that out. What kind of vegetarian foods are growing in polar climates? It's going to be interesting to figure it out. You might need to make some adjustments or maybe eat some fish or things like that, but you'll have to be a little bit more creative about it. So just a heads up for those of us who change from really extreme climates from one place to another, we need to change how we're eating. And that's what I want to just share about that. It is important and just to think about. That's like even when we have seasonal changes in our zone, like in the summer, you want to eat like more fruits and vegetables and more salads. In the winter, you want to eat more root vegetables and like heavier, more protein rich foods, just in general. So just things to think about regarding food.
And
Um,
then,
and
yes,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
go ahead. What about for pets? Like,
Well, I was going to say, so for
yeah,
cats, in the warmer weather, they don't eat as much. So
uh-huh.
even if you're in your own
Your
climate
climatic
that's
latitude.
changing,
Yeah.
that's changing, just know that when it's a little warmer, cats eat a little less. And so that in the winter they eat more. And so there again, if you're going to a climate that's warmer, your cats are going to have less appetite
Hmm.
in general, so it's following that.
Right. So you don't have to freak out if they
Right,
lose their fur and they don't eat as much food. If you
right.
won't move
If you're
to a
going
warmer
warmer and
climate
if you're
or a
going
different latitude.
right, and if
Yeah.
you're going colder, if they're eating more all of a sudden, that's because they're adjusting to the colder climate. Yeah.
Exactly. So so think of it this way. There are latitudes and think of those as horizontal, right? And there are three of those. And that's not the same as seasons. Seasons occur within those latitudes. Okay, so but just in general, like the mid latitudes are more regulated. And what I mean by that is it's the extremes aren't as intense, just generally. Now, with climate change itself, things are more extreme because things are changing. But just in general, regarding kinds of foods that you might want to think about eating, this is just something to think about. Okay, All right. Now, what else about moving? I mean, for people, it's hectic, right? We need to plan. We have to, there are a lot of things that evolve with moving. There's everything from packing your possessions and sorting through them before you leave, where you're going to move to, finding that place, all the unpacking and organization once you get there. And then there's getting used to your new place that you're moving into. There's all the paperwork, there are all the address changes, all the different like things that you need to do and sign up for. And it usually takes about 6 months to a year to get adapted just with paperwork, settling in, signing forms, new schools, new job, all that takes about 6 months to a year to adapt to that new place. So if you move, just understand and know for yourself that it's going to take you time to adjust. And this isn't even talking about building relationships or building business friendships or anything like that. This is just settling into where you're living, getting to know the new neighborhood. If you go to a new church or synagogue or temple, or you go to new community events, all that stuff. I'm sure with the animals, it's a lot of new smells. It's a lot of new sights and feelings, and you're on taking a walk in a different area, right? It's totally different for them. They have to adjust too,
They
right?
do. They
Yeah.
do. Like I had a client that moved from the Pacific Northwest to Maui to Hawaii, and
Yes.
so walking on beaches for the first time, and and the climate being warmer, and so yeah, it was a big adjustment. Well, they ended up, unfortunately, with the Maui fire and everything, all the destruction there, they have moved back temporarily. um, and so I've been helping them here with that adjustment because it was a big devastation,
Yeah.
have to move because all their health care and vet care and all that stuff got destroyed. Um, and then to get settled. And so Roxy is the little dog client, has been a little bit more unsettled because her guardian was unsettled because there was just so much logistics, and then there was a mourning
Yes.
that of the loss, and all her friends that were being impacted, and
Oh yeah. Of
so it was
course.
a big deal. So we've been in
Oh yeah.
this, we're still working through this because she has shipment of her things coming over in multiple shipments, so it's not
Oh yeah.
overwhelming with everything at once.
Oh no, totally.
And so she was getting a
Yep.
shipment this week, and so she's already in, unsettled. Roxy was unsettled, and
Because
getting
the
them
animals pick
both.
up on the guardian's feel energy, right?
Exactly.
Right.
It's just a lot.
Yep.
And so even though things have smoothed out because she's more settled, so Roxy is more settled, it's a process, like you said.
Yeah.
And you're going through it, well, because you're going through it, your animal's going through it, and because they're looking to you for that calm safety. And so supporting them, it's helped Roxy navigate, well, it's helped both of them actually, because when I'm working with Roxy, because Roxy's getting taken care of, the guardian relaxes. So it's kind of
Yep.
a two for session, just because because we as pet parents get concerned about our animals, and when
Of course.
when they're getting receiving support and they're doing better, then we
Of
can
course.
relax.
Absolutely. Yep. So,
And so for
yeah.
people that want more for themselves, please see Ariel.
Well, I love helping people, and I always tell people, um, I would get at least one massage or energy work session, while you're packing. Excuse me, because people's issues come up when you're packing your things. You get triggered emotionally all the time. When you're sorting things, when you're letting go of stuff, sometimes grief can come up, or the feelings that are associated with those objects that can really push people's buttons. So there's that. And then I tell people to get a massage after they've moved, because physically moving your stuff can be hard on your back and your arms and your legs. So there's before and there's after, just to maintain. And I will tell you that I've personally done that for myself when I've done a move, and it helped enormously. So you should budget at least a before and after massage or energy work session for yourself, and one for your animals if you're going to.
And for your animals before and
Yes.
after,
Yeah.
because yes, we prepare them beforehand, and then we help them settle after they've gotten moved, and answer any Yeah, there,
Absolutely. And then,
any concerns that pets still have, we kind of clear that up.
right. And then when you get to your new location, think about the climate zone that it's in and eat appropriately. So if it's mid latitude, it's like more the foods that are from that latitude. And if you're going to polar, you have more polar foods. If you're going to tropical, you have more tropical foods. And think of it that way. Think of the 80-20 rule for the most part, or 80-15-5, and just try to adjust. So, and one of the fun things about moving to a new place is learning about what are the new foods that are there. You know, are you having peanuts in Georgia, right? Or peaches, right?
Yeah.
You know, in Maui, that's going to be tropical. So you're going to be having your mangoes and your papayas and your fish, right? And your
Yeah.
pineapples, things like that.
And the
So
best way to know what's in season is to go to farmers markets, because that's
totally,
fresh way that you'll see these are the foods ideal for your body at this time.
absolutely. So I should say that one of the things I've noticed on the pet market for food is the offerings have expanded a lot. There are a lot of different kinds of pet food now, and some of them are organic. And I've even seen vegetarian ones. I don't totally understand that for cats because they're
They
carnivores.
can't. Cats cannot be vegetarian.
I don't understand that. Yeah.
They're
So
obligate
thank you.
carnivores. Dogs can have uh
Some,
they don't require as much protein, but cats strictly protein.
yes, that's what I thought. So thank you for confirming that. I thought that was kind of weird. I'm like, yeah, I don't think cats can be vegetarians, guys.
They
Fix
cannot.
it.
No, no.
Yeah. So there's that. Also, just going to put this out there. If you are moving and you're looking for a massage therapist, you can go. The American Massage Therapy Association has created a new platform called findamassagetherapist.org. And it's www.findamassagetherapist.org. And you can type it in your destination and what kind of body work you'd like to receive. And they will get you somebody that you can connect with that's part of the American Massage Therapy Association. So that's an option for humans. I don't know about for pet healers. Is there a national website or something where they can look up
I don't
information?
know, because I work internationally, nationally as well, that I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So, but they you could work with people could work with you even if they move though,
Oh,
because of
absolutely.
the long
Ask them.
distance work.
Yes.
Yeah. Now we mentioned this before, but for those of us who are just tuning in today and you've never heard us before, both of us work long distance, but I can't do body work long distance, but Vicki can work on the animals long distance. And so that's something to think about. If you're needing that continued support, you can't, like you said, your client moved from the PNW to Maui and back, and you work with them the whole time, right?
We worked with them the whole time.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. So you can provide continued care. That's great.
Yes.
That's awesome. Right on. All right. Well, we have some other things that we definitely are going to be talking about in upcoming episodes. So we hope you guys will stay tuned with us. We usually present the first Thursday of the month, right around 10 o'clock. So if you want to catch us, you can also find prior episodes on Vicki's site, healingyouranimal.com, under the media tab, right? It's still there, I believe.
Yes.
And you can see all of our prior shows there. We have a lot of different topics that we talk about every month, and we've been doing this for a while now. And our goal is to help all of you guys learn new things about yourselves and about your animals. I always learn from you, Vicki.
Well, back at you. It's like this, between the two of us, we have decades. Well,
There's
each of decades.
information, yes.
We have a lot of information, and it's great to work. That's why it's great to work with each other, because we keep growing and learning too.
Totally. Do you have any other pet stories for us about moving?
That's the big one. But the big one is let them know.
Yeah.
And it's even vacations. I just worked with a client yesterday because she's adopted a cat and so her cat hasn't been through her going on a vacation before. Her dog has. So
Mhm.
we were, communicating that. So even leaving for vacations makes a big difference to helping the pets, but moving especially, because I do have a story. Because you're stressed and your pet is stressed. And I had one time I was moving, and my cat, who at that time may have been 12 or so and been through moves with me, but I'm boxing up everything and she's just acting really strange. And I was all frantic in the move. So I reached out to my friend who's the animal communicator, and she said, well, my cat's name was Tasha. And she goes, well, Tasha doesn't know she's going with you. I'm like, what? Of course she's going with me. She goes, but you haven't told her. And I was like, oh.
So this stuff that seems obvious to us isn't obvious to them, so you need to tell them.
Exactly. And then I'm in the field and know this and do this. And, so that's how easy we can get so caught up in what we're doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so as soon as I told her what was happening, and of course she was coming with me, everything was fine.
Aw,
But
poor little fuzzy.
it's like you can't assume just because we had been through the move before. Their animals are in the present. They want to know now.
Right. They're not recalling all the prior times they've moved with you.
Right. Right.
So that's important, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, so just have it on your radar before you get in the stress of the move, and you can help your pets get
Totally. Right.
support beforehand, then you
Yeah.
can, yeah.
Oh my goodness, poor little thing.
I know. Sweet Tasha, she was with me for over 19 years. So yeah,
Wow.
we had a lot of life together.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. All right. So how can people reach you and what can you do for them?
Alrighty, so you can easily reach me, healingyouranimal.com. And there again, I offer a free assessment. And so if you have any issues or concerns that you'd like to discuss and see if, what I do is a great support, please sign up. Happy to talk with you or happy to help guide you, because I have multiple ways of supporting you with healing essences, with books, classes, and private sessions. And so healingyouranimal.com is where you can get all that information. And so Ariel, how about you? How can people get a hold of you?
People can reach me at arielhubbard.com. I have a blog on there. You can get access to my podcast on there, my other podcast, Healing. It's called Woman Power Zone. You can read my articles and things that I've written. You can learn about the retreats I do, the sessions I do in person and long distance, and also classes that I offer. So yes, we have resources for you. We're happy to help you. And we appreciate you joining us every month.
Yes. And so it's been a delight to be here, and we'll see you next month.
Have a great day, you guys. Take care. Thanks so much.